There are regiments in the Astra Millitarum known for their precision, discipline, or sacred zeal. Then there are those who win wars with bullets, fists, and enough demolition charges to take down a hive city. This is the story of such a force, born from stone and steel, and raised in mines and quarries. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my little corner, where we're going to be looking at two worlds that have come together to form an alliance and an army known locally as the A.P.A, a fictional Astra Millitarum force in my homebrew sector of Iyo. The regiments of the A.P.A hail from Farooq and Bradshaw, two brutal, unforgiving worlds. We're going to take a look at Farooq first. Quarry world of arid deserts and dust storms that was first charted in M35 during a wave of Imperial colonisation aimed at securing worlds along the Paranthos Vale frontier in the Iyo sector. But for its lack of arable land and water, Farooq's value was seen in its vast shelves of tectonically tempered building stone and rare geological compounds, ideal for shipplate substrate and void sealing materials. The Imperium quickly classed the world as a quarry resource and began planetary exploitation. Massive excavation rigs, bladed crawler towns, and entire cutter colonies were deployed. These were operated by bonded labour, exiled guildsmen, and volunteer settlers hardened by centuries of solar radiation and crushing work quotas. The landscape quickly became a sprawl of flat rocky plains and a maze of cut canyons and mesas, scaffolds and work camps on cliff faces. By M38, Farooq stone had been used in the foundations of dozens of worlds and fortresses across the sector, its materials bearing the stamp of FQ and its extraction M-date for generations to come. Life on Farooq is marked by stoicism, ritual labour, a near religious reverence for stone, and a high tolerance for alcohol and violence. Its people are rock cutters, ancestral guild lines stretching back thousands of years, their great earth-moving hab machines traversing the world's surface, and many permanent settlements now carved directly into the cliff faces and mesa walls. Tools are often passed down through bloodlines, with names and honours engraved between each generation's chiselling, with honours being earned through architectural marvels and war, through to pit fighting and hard drinking. Its most famous gang is known as the Plasma Cutters, who operate and control the black market across most of the world. Farooq also houses dust priests, who wander the plains between mesas to bless the moving extraction machines. These priests are revered amongst the populace for the hard travels they endure, facing vicious sandstorms, untamed beasts, and dune gangers in their crossings. Farooq's people also hold a philosophical belief that stone holds memory, and the bodies of the revered dead are mixed into the mortar to be eternalized in the next building, blessing future works in the name of the Emperor. Where crimes and dishonor are written into the rock and carved into stone, with the worst outlaws being thrown off the quarry cliffs to their deaths, their ruined bodies staining the rocks where their crimes are written, their spirits caught within. They are a disciplined, stoic, and ritualistic people, viewing strength and endurance as divine virtues. By early M37, population expansion and regional economic strain pushed the guild families of Farooq to seek new extraction sites. The Mechanicus had been eyeing the neighbouring metal-rich world of Bradshaw, a volcanic grey rock wasteland, but lacked the manpower and the experience to break its crust. Farooq responded. What initial Auspex scans registered as a low-yield world turned out to be loaded with ore veins and high-density metal deposits, including titanium, ferrite, iridium, and fossil fuels deep within the planet. The rich resources too valuable to ignore, several mining conglomerates moved in from the neighbouring world of Farooq, and so were born the first blast foundries, excavation rigs, and smelting stations, operated by the ironwood descendants of these first prospectors. Bradshaw is now a relentless mix of grey escarpments, smog-choked valleys, cave systems, and frequent ash storms. The air is acrid, with a taste of metal and coolant vapour. Its people, as with its founders, are strong, rough, and stubborn, descended from those early quarry workers and contractors that formed generational mining guilds. They have developed a frontier code built on toughness, humour, and shared labour. Despite Imperial oversight, most of Bradshaw's populace still operate in tight-knit working clans. Leadership is earned through sweat and scars. not titles, and as with their founders, drinking and fighting is a big part of their everyday lives, and has had a massive influence on the shared cultures of both worlds' regiments. Bradshaw's mining operations are extensive and brutal. Giant excavation machines known as dread drillers burrow deep into the planet's crust, extracting ore from miles beneath the surface. These massive machines are capable of withstanding extreme temperatures and intense pressure and the constant threat of cave-ins. Due to this constant threat, the people have developed a cultural honour of structure and strength. To have a structure you built collapse is to bring the deepest of shame, and such events are seen as bad omens, sometimes leading to projects being abandoned and individuals, families, even entire communities being ostracised from the rest of the society, with the worst of criminals being buried in cave-ins in tunnels they dig for themselves as a sign of disrespect. Yet much like the people of Farooq, the revered fallen are fed into furnaces, their ashes mixed into the slag of the next structure, a tradition of eternal foundation. Through this, it is believed that the ancestors can live in reverence to serve the Emperor even in death. Great smelting machines are therefore revered in themselves, sacredly anointed in the hope that the Emperor may bless the spirits of the dead and give promise to the next project. However, Bradshaw's rise nearly ended early with the arrival of war boss Gorgrim the Grinder in M38. The Orcs swept through a nearby system and found Bradshaw's mining complexes vulnerable and fragmented. Smelteries went dark, cartel outposts vanished, whole plateaus were repurposed into greenskin scrap fortresses built from ruined drill towers and mobile haulers. The planet's small defense forces were outmatched until the neighbouring founder world of Farooq intervened. The quarry world, now famed for its reinforced masonry, Farooq feared it would be next, and conscripting its workforce into its regiments, launched a support campaign to help Bradshaw hold key highlands and supply routes before other sector reinforcements would arrive. Yet what began as desperation became mutual respect, and Farooq's engineers adapted quickly, fighting a grueling and bloody war, using high-powered stub guns and explosives to blast and push back the Orc convoys into a canyon. Bradshaw's native fighters then ambushed the greenskins from below, rigging the terrain with collapsing platforms and explosive traps. At the Battle of Drow Mesa, in the ash wastes of Bradshaw, the two sides jointly detonated an entire ore shelf, sinking a stomper column beneath a lake of gravel, mud and shrapnel, ending the war boss's push and forcing him onto the back foot until Gorgrim was defeated and the Grinder himself killed at the Battle for Ember Hill by the Sisters of the Order of the Lilac Rose. By this point, Bradshaw's regiments had proved themselves to be specialists in underground and urban terrain warfare, fortification and breach demolition, tunnel construction, drilling and subsurface terrain control, as well as ambush tactics in zero visibility. The gear is often cobbled together from industrial remnants, thick boilerplate armour with large shields and close-quarters shotguns. Many soldiers bear the symbol of the smelting pot pouring into a skull, worn proudly as a badge of honour and proof of homeworld labour. Famous regiments include the Bradshaw 9th, otherwise known as the Slagborn, and the 3rd Gravediggers, veterans of the Orc invasion who are famed for taking out the Stomper column. On the other hand, Farooq's regiments would specialise in extreme environmental endurance and can fight in heat, dust and low atmosphere without pause, honing their skills in fortification and open ground warfare, trench construction, armoured assault and surface and even elevated terrain control, utilising drop assault squads who launch themselves from cliff tops for shock attacks. Famous regiments would include the Farooq 1st Iron Wall, the unit that started it all with the defence of Bradshaw, a vast legion of troops that were split up into a number of regiments post-Gorgrim and the subsequent alliance. However, much like the Astartes, the founders that started it all would persist. Others would include the 47th Hounds of Hamza, mechanised quarry hauler troops repurposed into rapid assault sappers, and the 8th Cutter Line, infantry-based regiment trained in extreme conditions and believed to recruit directly from the plasma cutter gangs. Whilst it is known that these gangs use children as young as 12, it is rumoured that children as young as 9 have been seen in combat, serving as line runners, medics, vehicle operators, and even gunners. Their armour is often nothing more than a vest top and combat trousers, dust stained, with sigils stitched by hand and helmets shaped to resemble quarry worker gear. They fight with high-powered, high-caliber stub and auto guns, as well as utilising explosives, rockets, and hand grenades. But where Farooq brought adaptability, firepower, and an adequate number of troops, Bradshaw brought shields, heavy machinery, and an iron will. This alliance between the two worlds would soon become formalised and their regiments mixed, uniting them forever as the Ash Pact Auxilia, or A.P.A, after the Ashen Land where they gained the most fame. And whilst both worlds would continue to pay their tithes in produce and materials, the regiments formed during these days would persist through to the 41st millennium, and more would come, armed and armoured by their respective homeworlds. While most of these units have remained garrisoned in their home subsector, others have seen major deployments further afield, such as, but not limited to, the War of the Screaming Plateau in M39, and the Cassirian Mutiny of M40. The former being a war featuring many of Iyo's regiments, during which the A.P.A led an assault into the Chaos Cult-held Mesa complex, using repurposed mining drills and demolition charges to breach deep into underground bunkers. This was their first test outside of the sector and won them crucial accolades in the eyes of many. The latter being a rebellion in a neighbouring sector whereby the forces of Farooq and Bradshaw held the western line alone for 9 months whilst digging forward, facing storm walls and launching night raids into enemy lines, eventually pushing back the enemy until reinforcements could arrive from the night world of A.P.A, destroying the enemy entirely. Together the two worlds complement each other and make up one of the more unique hybrid forces in the Imperium, rarely if ever deploying without the other, with many eyes simply seeing them as crude combat engineers mixed with barren brawlers, and to some degree this may be true, but they can also bring down fortresses, cave in hive cities, and ferociously hold the line. Leadership in the A.P.A comes from guild merit, foremen, crew chiefs, and demolition masters. You don't get saluted in the A.P.A, you earn the right not to get punched in the face. Now, with the turning of the 42nd millennium and the Great Rift tearing reality apart, Farooq is once again a world of necessity, looking to expand, with new efforts being put into the world of Magna 5, where Bradshaw is once again on a knife's edge. Orc warbands are regrouping and looking to take both worlds. Conflicts in other areas are delaying reinforcements, and rumours speak of other Xeno sightings in the darkest of the voids, shadowed craft that bring only pain and the screams of those they capture. But the alliance still holds, and both Farooq and Bradshaw still stand. We cut, we dig, we drink, we praise. The A.P.A bury our enemies under what we raise. That's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and our overview and the showcase of the A.P.A from Farooq and Bradshaw. I hope you like the minis and the lore, and if I'm honest, I have no idea where these minis came from, and I've yet to be able to find them online. But honestly, they're some great sculpts. The proportions are incredible for how old they are. I also want to hear your world building ideas, and if you've got any ideas for Iyo, the sector, or any of the history, anything that I can add or think I should take away, please leave that as well. I'd love to hear it all. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Thank you very much once again, and I will see you in the next one.